Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Shinvitam Svakanta Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti suhritsatam नष्टप्राये शिवभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैस्तिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, verses 33 and 34. Patna vuchuha yagnoyam tava yaga nayakena shrusto vidvastaha pashupati nadya dakshakopat tamnastvam savasayam abhasantamedam yagnatman nalina rucha drusha punihi. Synonyms: Patnya Vacha, the wives of the executors of the sacrifice, said, Yagnaha, the sacrifice, Ayam, this, Tava, your, Yajanya, worshipping, Kena, by Brahma, Shrishta, arranged, Vidvastaha, devastated, Pashupatina, by Lord Shiva, Adya, today, Daksha Kopat, from anger at Daksha, Tam, it, Naha, our, Tvam, you, Savasayana, dead bodies, Abha, like, Santamedam, the still sacrificial animals, Yagnatman, O Lord of sacrifice, Nalina, lotus, Rucha, beautiful, Drusha, by the vision of your eyes, Punihi, sanctify. Translation by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The wives of the performers of the sacrifice said, My dear Lord, this sacrifice was arranged under the instruction of Brahma, but unfortunately Lord Shiva, being angry at Daksha, devastated the entire scene. And because of his anger, the animals meant for sacrifice are lying dead. Therefore, the preparations of the yajna have been lost. Now, by the glance of your lotus eyes, the sanctity of this sacrificial arena may be again invoked. Purport by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Animals were offered in sacrifice in order to give them a renowned life. That was the purpose of having animals there. Offering an animal in sacrifice and giving him renowned life was the evidence of the strength of chanting mantras. Unfortunately, when Daksha's sacrifice was devastated by Lord Shiva, some of the animals were killed. One was killed just to replace the head of Daksha. Their bodies were lying about, and the sacrificial arena was turned into a crematorium. Thus, the real purpose of yajna was lost. Lord Vishnu, being the ultimate object of such sacrificial ceremonies, was requested by the wives of the priests to glance over the yajna's arena with his causeless mercy so that the routine work of the yajna might be continued. The purport here is that animals should not be unnecessarily killed. They were used to prove the strength of the mantras and were to have been rejuvenated by the use of mantras. They should not have been killed as they were by Lord Shiva to replace the head of Daksha with an animal head. It was pleasing to see an animal sacrificed and rejuvenated, and that pleased atmosphere had been lost here. The wives of the priests requested that the animals be brought back to life by the glance of Lord Vishnu to make a pleasing yajna. Verse 34, Rusha Uchaha Anvitam te Bhagavan Vishesitam Yad Atma Charasihi Karmana pratyase vibhutya yata upashedur ishwarim na manyate swayam anuvartitam bhavan. Synonyms: Risha, the sages; Uchaha, prayed; Ananvitam, wonderful; Te, your; Bhagavan, O process of our all opulences; Visheshitam, activities; Yat, which; Atmana, by your potencies; Charasi, you execute; Hai, certainly; Karma, to such activities; Najayase, you are not attached; Vibhutye, for her mercy; Yataha, from whom; Upaseduhu, worship; Ishwaram, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune; Namanyate, are not attached; Swayam, yourself; Anuvartitim, to your obedient servant Lakshmi; Bhavan, your lordship. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The sages prayed, Dear Lord, your activities are most wonderful. And although you do everything by your different potencies, you are not at all attached to such activities. You are not even attached to the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by the great demigods like Brahma, who pray to achieve her mercy. Purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord has no desire to achieve any results from his wonderful activities, nor has he any need to perform them. But still, in order to give an example to people in general, he sometimes acts, and those activities are very wonderful. He is not attached to anything. Namam karmani limpanti. Although he acts very wonderfully, he is not at all attached to anything. Bhagavad Gita 4.14. He is self-sufficient. The example is given here that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is always engaged in the service of the Lord, but still he is not attached to her. Even great demigods like Brahma worship the goddess of fortune in order to win her favor. But although the Lord is worshipped by many hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, he is not at all attached to any one of them. This distinction concerning the exalted transcendental position of the Lord is specifically mentioned by the great sages. He is not like the ordinary living entity who is attached to the results of the pious activities. Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachyatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I would like to seek blessing from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. So we are in the fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, and the chapter 7, sacrifice performed by the Daksha. So just to give a quick recap, Daksha planned to perform the Bruhaspati Sava sacrifice, and he invited everyone, all the demigods. But invitation was not extended to his own daughter Sati and his son-in-law, because he is not in good terms with Lord Shiva. Though she was not invited, Sati was not invited. Sati went to sacrifice. She was not received well by his father, and in spite, her husband was insulted. So these things made Sati disappointed and disturbed, and finally she gave her body. So there was a fight between the followers of Shiva and associates of Daksha. Finally, Daksha was killed by Virabhadra, who born from the hair of Lord Shiva. So Brahma, along with the associate, went to Shiva to pacify him. Finally, Shiva was pleased and brought back the life of Daksha. Then Daksha realized his mistake and prayed Lord Shiva, and with his permission, he continued the yajna process. So as soon as King Daksha offered the clarified butter with Yajurveda mantras in sanctified meditation, so Lord Vishnu appeared there in his original form of Narayana. As soon as the Lord Vishnu was visible, all the demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the Gandharvas, and all present there, immediately they offered their respectable obeisances by falling down straight before the Lord Vishnu. So everyone, members of the assembly, Bhrigu Maharshi, Lord Shiva, Brahma, King Indra prayed. And in this verse 33, the wives of the performance of the sacrifice prayed Lord Vishnu and explained to the Lord Narayana about the situation there. So they are telling that the animal supposed to sacrifice in the yajna to get a better life is now dead because of the fight, and asked Lord Narayana to bring back the life. So Prabhupada here explains that about the animal sacrifice, why they do, and what is the purpose. Basically, sacrifice is done for two reasons. The first reason is to give better life for the animal. Like in the next life, they can be a humans, so that they can get a chance to serve the Lordship and can further progress, and they can go to the Goloka Vrindavan. And secondly, is to prove the strength of the mantra. The animal sacrifice is not allowed for this age, as there are no qualified brahmanas, and also we do not know what mantras to be uttered. And for this age, Sankirtana is the recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 6.242, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam Kalau Nasti Eva Nasti Eva Gatir Anyata. So in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So in the next verse, the sages prayed the Lord and mainly stressed that Lord is not attached to anything. And also he don't need to perform any lila or activities. Lord, out of causeless mercy, he performs a different pastime so that the devotees can relish. Sages are saying that here, he is not even attached to Goddess Lakshmi, who always serves him. So developing the detachment from the material things and relations is important to progress in spirituality. So Krishna says in like Bhagavad Gita 4.14, Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phaleshvraha, iti mam yo bhajanti, karmanabhir nasa bhajyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I inspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive relations of work. So in the Vedanta Sutra 2.1.34, it is confirmed, Vaishamya Nairgrunye Naspakasvata. The Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities through the agency of material nature, the external energy. Anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of this law of karma or free to activities does not become affected by the results of his activities. So in other words, the person who understands this transcendental nature of the Lord is an experienced man in Krishna conscious, and thus he is never subject to the laws of karma. So in summary, for this age, Nam Sankirtana is the dharma, not the yajnas and doing animal sacrifice. And secondly, we need to understand the real constitutional position of living entity is to serve the Supreme Lord, who is in pure knowledge. When one is diluted into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusionary energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not possible to detach from the sense objects and family bondages without attaching solely with Krishna. We need to be cautious about what we are aiming for. If you want wealth, power, fame, along with Krishna, no, it never happens. Unconditional, unmotivated love only makes Krishna to come to you. So, attachment to the objects of the senses that leads to the lusty desires to own and control them for sense gratification is the cause of entanglement and adverse reactions. The senses and the mind cannot be stopped from being attached to sense objects. One can, however, engage all the senses and the mind in the service of Krishna or Lord. The act of spiritual engagement under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master is the best way to control oneself from being victimized by the forces of nature. The controlled mind is the best friend, and the mind out of control is the worst enemy. The mind is an instrument that is meant to be controlled. The uncontrolled mind serves the dictations of lust, anger, greed, illusion. The controlled mind voluntarily follows the instructions of the personality of Godhead, who is present in the heart of every living entity. One develops a relationship with God by following his advice as revealed in scripture. Vacha kalpatarurbhacha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam